Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity, oneness, sovereignty, the highest levels of love light. And I want to just jump right into it. There's this common idea or concept that in order to be in your heart, you have to be in love and light all the time. You have to be in sunshine and rainbows. You have to be in a space of, oh, everything is airy-fairy and bright. And that's awesome when we are in that space. We're in a space right now of a lot of energies. It's like this mishmash of energies coming in and sloshing around, so to speak. And it can be hard to get to that place. And sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that in order to be 5D, that's a common word that many of us have heard, we have to be sunshine and rainbows all the time. And maybe when we are in the fifth dimension, that's the case. It'll just automatically be that way. But in the meantime, we're multidimensional beings. And essentially, we are oscillating in and out of 3D, 4D, 5D, playing in all of these fields. Some people are stuck in the 3D. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Some people are stuck in between the 3 and 4D. And some people cannot see past that. And so everybody's at a different layer, but we're all like nesting dolls, right? We're all layered on this earth together, operating in these different frequencies, in these different multidimensional aspects. In these different variations. And a friend of mine just shared a post the other day about like two people sitting next to each other and one person's vibrating here and the other person's here. And you can say something to them. Candace shared this the other day, and they aren't gonna hear you. They aren't gonna get it. And there are those of us that have been awake for a really long time, and we might try to tell our friend or a family member or our neighbor about something that we're seeing or hearing or a truth that came across, and it just right over their head or bounces right off of them, or they reject it. And that's something that we could do a whole video on. That feeling of, how could you not be awake? How could you not see this? And the reason they cannot see it is because they cannot see it, or they choose not to see it. And those are two different things. Sometimes people are so asleep that they just don't. You can put it right in front of them, whatever it might be, and they'll look at it and go, I don't see it. What are you talking about? Because they don't. It's just like when you are 6 years old, you see things from a perspective that you see completely different when you're 60 years old, right? You look back on it and you go, wow, I was in it and I didn't even realize it, right? So we're being invited to use our multidimensional perspectives. And the biggest message that's been coming through for me is heart coherence. And I'm going to use a different word because I've used several words to describe this. And it's, I think, commonly misinterpreted that you have to be in bliss and you have to be in sunshine and rainbows in order to be in your heart. And that's not true. That is one version of truth, but that isn't the only truth. So I'm calling it instead heart stability for now, just for the purpose of sharing this so everybody can maybe feel into what I'm referring to. Heart stability. So for those of us who have ever flown, there's a hostess or host or attendant that will give a presentation on safety. And they talk about if the plane loses air and the oxygen mask drops down, and I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again. We are instructed to put the oxygen mask on who first? Us. We're invited to put the oxygen masks on us and then put it on our children or the person next to us or somebody that maybe needs our help, because we cannot help them unless we are fully functioning and able to breathe in that situation. So two of the examples that I was shown was somebody decides to put the oxygen mask on the person next to them, and halfway through them trying to fumble with the mask, they pass out. Then the mask doesn't get on either one of them, and both of them lose out on that. The other example that they showed was a person who is so panicked that they're trying to get the oxygen mask on and they're so freaked out that they can't do it. they pass out, the person next to them doesn't fare so well either. And then the third example that I was shown was the person who gets up, screams running up and down the aisles, we're all gonna die. The plane is going down. You guys, we're all gonna die. Wake up, you know. So those are the realities that we're dealing with. Multidimensionality, linear, and there's all kinds of examples I could use for that. And this is what my guides were showing, and I was kind of seeing the importance of that heart stability. If we are not able to function enough to come from a place of being able to take action by taking the mask, putting it on with control, being in control and of our functions, right? Our bodily functions in a stabilized way, we're not going to be able to help anyone. In addition to that, others are going to be like, are you okay? Are you going to be all right? Are you going to have a heart attack? Do I need to call 911 once we get this plane landed? Because that energy that we're projecting in panic, in the opposite of heart stability, which is high cortisol, I call it the energy spins. Have you ever gotten around someone that's just like, especially if you're sensitive, you can feel it. They're just angry all the time, or they are short, they have a short fuse, all of this. And some of us may have been there, done that, or experienced it ourselves sometimes, right? We all have a short fuse once in a while, or have in the past for the most part. Well, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but so the guides are talking about this heart stability. And it isn't about being, oh, the oxygen mask just dropped down, but we're going to be fine. Everything's great, sunshine and rainbows. And I don't even need it because I'm already in the fifth dimension. And in the fifth dimension, we don't breathe air. I'm using that as an example, right? Because I've been there too, right? And then there's the other one with the person freaking out on the plane. So where are we at? And we're being invited to balance between those two to stabilize, because ultimately there is an oxygen mask hanging right there. And we don't have to, but if we do recognize that we might need it, and that we're in a space that if we utilize it, we can assist the others around us. In addition to that, we do it from a place of balance and cohesion, where we're not all over the place, freaking out, ripping out everybody else's oxygen mask by flailing our arms around, telling everybody the obvious, or even not the obvious. Some people might be in that space and go, what oxygen mask? Or be so distraught that they don't even see it in front of them. So I'm using this as an example because it's all about heart coherence. And we're being invited not to make ourselves feel guilty because we're afraid, or feel guilty because we feel angry, or, but we all react and we all respond to that scenario in our own way. Some people freak out, some people don't. But we're being invited not to turn the person next to us and shake them and go, why aren't you freaking out? Because that then, or dictate to them, you should be afraid right now, or you should do it this way, or you need to put it on this way. Because then that's taking that person's sovereignty away from them. And that's not what this is about. This is about us taking back our own individual sovereignty as a collective. And so I'm talking very multidimensional here with this example that I'm utilizing with being on the plane. So what we are being invited to do is get back into the heart. And that means stability. That means us breathing, not being in a heightened state of panic to where we are not able to think clearly or to communicate clearly. Because if we are communicating from a place of reaction, which is panic, anger, frustration, the opposite of heart coherence, and the opposite of bliss, which I'm going to get to if I have time at the end, I might have to do that in a different video, then we are creating a negative space, so to speak, or a negative charge, or a highly energized frequency that is the opposite of stability, right? And we're then, it's contagious. Other people can feel that. And that elicits a response from those others. We might have every intention and we might be a good person and we might really feel like we're doing the right thing here. But if we don't know it and feel it here, we are then shutting down our extrasensory ability to use our intuition to guide us in integrity and use our sovereignty by not pushing this on somebody else on those examples. So integrity is heart-centered. It is recognizing here. And when we come into this space of balance before we speak, it has more power behind it. People don't necessarily want to turn away. People don't cringe at the energy that you're putting off or that we're putting off as a collective and they're more apt to listen. And I know that concept of there's a lot of people out there when somebody tells them, well, you have to do this, right? I know when I was younger and even now, if somebody tells me I have to do something, I automatically am like, no, I don't, right? Or vice versa. Well, maybe I want to, so there is an energy about that. So if we're trying to assist others, we have to put our own oxygen mask on first and stabilize so that we can take action, so that we can use our voice, but not choke somebody else's voice who might be on the same side as you, who might be on the same page as you and me and we, who might be waking up and recognize that they are going through their own things. And that's a whole other video. The coherence is balanced, heart balance, operating from a place of integrity and not from a place of perpetuating the opposite of that, which is hate, which is violence, which is fill in the blanks, right? Once we come to that place of integrity, we can still be strong and stand up and say, I do not choose this, whatever that might be, nor am I going to perpetuate this any longer. Everybody has their own different way of speaking the truth or sharing the truth or operating from truth. And we are here to honor that because my message and how I share it may be completely different than somebody else's message. That doesn't mean I don't honor their message and get a lot from it, for example, and vice versa. Sometimes I need a little bit of that fire to get from these truther communities, for example, to help stimulate my knowingness and for me to feel into it and say, ooh, is that true? But if I'm not here and I'm only my head, I'm not using all of my faculties in order to discern with discernment and integrity if what I'm hearing is true. So all of this is connected. And the more we can come into stability, the stronger we are and the less fragmented we are. So I want to just share that. In love and light, I'm going to do another video, kind of number 2 with all this coherence next. So namaste. Almost. I did forget one thing. Breathe. Ask ourselves, is this in integrity? Is this going to be the best way that I can spread this message with love? And when I say with love, it doesn't mean with flowers and sunshine and pretty rainbows. It just means not being in a place of fear, anger, and hate, right? So just recognizing and honoring that because this is about sovereignty and integrity. All right, that's it. In love and light. Namaste, guys.